Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Will's Health YouTube video. And in this one, we're going to be talking about the best way to heal IBS. My framework, which I go over, which we're going to cover with a few pillars that we're going to talk about. If you've come from my other socials, you know that I talk about these multi-layered pillared approach when it comes to gut health. And I want to kind of dive deeper into that and the equation for good gut health and IBS relief. And we'll just start with who am I? If you guys are new around here, my name is Will, which you can probably have guessed from the YouTube channel name. But I went through a pretty crazy transformation, right? I mean, I had so many symptoms. You guys can pause this and look through. So many people can relate to this. I had awful issues with my gut health, anxiety, stomach cramps, brain fog, all stemming from just poor gut health and mainly from doing antibiotics and having infections and a whole host of things. And if you guys want to know more about, why people get IBS, I have other videos on that, so you go check it out. But this is more for the action of what we can do when you know you have IBS or just gut health issues in general, because IBS is just a blanket statement term for gut health. I mean, IBS doesn't really mean anything. So when I say IBS, I just mean gut health, if you guys don't already know. But you can see here, pretty crazy transformation, right? In terms of my journey with IBS. Now I've been able to heal myself, and people always ask me how long it took. It took years because I didn't know what I was doing. I did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and just had to learn on the way while trying to narrow it. And now I kind of came up with a framework which has helped me get out of that, which I share with other people, and they can do it a lot quicker, right? And I've been able to, well, fortunate enough, be able to help people all around the world, Dubai, Ireland, UK, USA, wherever. I'm an online coach now, and I can help these people, and I get results as well. All kind of issues people are dealing with: discomfort, bloating, brain fog, inflammation, stress, and these guys are getting crazy results. And if you want to see these videos, just check out on my Instagram, and you can get a more where you can actually fully watch the videos if you want to do that. So my mission is to significantly help people with IBS in 12 weeks using the multi-layered pillar system. That's it. I've come up with a system over the years, and I've been able to help myself and help others, and that's simply what it is. So without further ado, let's kind of get into it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I love systems, right? Systems make things easy, right? And I'm very analytical in the way I think. I like logic, I like analytics, I like strategic things. And that's what I kind of want to give you, because a lot of gut health, especially in the social media space, is very, I don't even know, like woohoo, which a part of that is fine, but a lot of it is quite random and just there's no system to it. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring to you guys, right? And I asked the question, what is the equation for a high probability of IBS gut relief? What can I do in order to have a good probability that I get better? And I just wanted to do it like that. What can I eat? What can I take? What can I do to have the highest possibility of good gut health? That's all I was trying to figure out. And that's kind of what I've been able to do these past couple of years. And that's also kind of what I want to share to you guys. If you just do X and Y, how do we get the result of good gut health? And that's what you have to follow. Now, over the years, I've kind of figured out that these are the main pillars of gut health, that you need to get these pillars into accordance. Now, there are a few micro pillars that maybe I won't talk about today, but if we just look at maybe the macro pillars, that will get you guys a better understanding. Now, of course, diet and nutrition is the main one, right? You can't really have good gut health if you're eating KFC every day. That's pretty obvious. But I also wanted to dive a little bit deeper than that, because there's a lot of people out there that have tried different diets, keto, carnivore, and these can work for people, but sometimes they're also still experiencing issues because gut health goes a little bit deeper. You've got gut bacteria. People who've had antibiotics, they get dysbiosis, which is the little bugs, the bacteria in your gut. So dysbiosis is an imbalance of gut bacteria. That's going to be something that's going to be affecting your gut health that we need to sort. Your motility, how fast is a stool moving through the intestines? Your gut lining integrity. So you've probably heard of leaky gut. If you haven't, then I'll make our video on it. Stomach acid levels. I mean, you can have the perfect diet in the world, guys, but if you don't have the facilities to digest your food, you're going to get IBS and gut health related symptoms, right? Enzyme release, again, pancreatic enzymes, bile production. Bile is released by the liver and it helps digest and emulsify fats, right? Hydration and electrolyte balance, mental and emotional health. This is a really big one. A lot of gut issues can stem from unresolved emotional conflicts. So definitely need to do this. Lifestyle foundation and also detox element. So in my head, I was like, if I get all these elements in accordance, I will have good gut health. And that's what I've done, by the way. I've literally just followed this equation and done this. Okay. Now, I know this seems quite vague, but I'll try to go into more detail of it. Now, you're only as good as your weakest link, right? So these are the major pillars. Now, you can have phenomenal diet, right? I've got a little image here. You can have great diet, you can have good, semi-good liver health, you're not got too many heavy metals and you're not toxic. But if you've got severe dysbiosis, right? Dysbiosis is an imbalance of gut bacteria, right? Then you're not going to move very far. You need to get all these levels up and you need to do everything together. Same if you've had a traumatic event, right? You've had a traumatic event and that's put your gut into overdrive. You can take all the supplements you want, you can take all the diet advice and do all this kind of stuff, right? But if you don't address what I call your bottleneck is the main thing that's kind of preventing you from progressing in your gut health journey, then you're just going to be only as good as your weakest link, as I mentioned. So you can get all these, you can have 10 out of 10 diet, 10 out of 10 liver health, 10 out of 10 everything. But if you're missing one key factor, you're going to have gut health issues. In my opinion, this is what I think is missing from a lot of conventional advice, right? So now that we know the main pillars, I was like, how can I use this equation to get good gut health, right? So I was like, if I have, right, I don't know how much I'm going to share with you guys here, but so the equation for me was like, let me get my text. Right, I don't know if this is going to make sense to you guys, but this is how my brain works, right? I want to share it with you. I was like, if I can make this as analytical and system based as possible, surely we can figure it out, right? So diet and nutrition pillar, right? If I do an animal-based diet, which I think is pretty animal-based / low lectins, which is pretty solid for gut health, right? And it works for me. Something might work different for you, but this is what works. This is my equation, right? Gut bacteria, okay? I had severe dysbiosis, which again is an imbalanced gut bacteria. If I do spore-based probiotics, which again is very different from your normal probiotics. If I do spore-based probiotics and fermented food, then I'm ticking off the gut bacteria. For motility, right? For motility, if I use thiamine and triphala when needed, then my motility is going to be good, right? If I then, for gut integrity, use, there's a lot of things you can use. I'm not going to go into detail. So let's say colostrum. Colostrum is high in IGF, so insulin growth factor, so it can rebuild the gut lining, right? That's going to tick off the gut lining, right? Then if I use lemon water, ACV, and maybe HCl, then I'm tipping off the stomach acid, right? For enzymes, enzymes is usually dictated by our stomach acid levels. So usually you could actually say stomach acid and enzymes. So we don't need to be doing both of those. For bile, we could say bitters, maybe Tadka, right? I haven't used Tadka yet, but you can use if you have. That wasn't really a big bottleneck for me. Then for hydration and electrolyte balance, we could use a reverse osmosis machine, which is a type of water filter, very clean. Don't use tap water, please. An electrolyte balance. If I just used Celtic salt and coconut water, that would sort out my electrolyte balance. Mental and emotional health. If I make sure this one's the most techie one, but if I avoided social media, if I did trauma releasing exercises like TRE, EFT tapping, if I allowed silence in my life, if I journaled, then this is going to tick off the mental and emotional aspect, right? Nature walks. Then do you see what I'm doing, guys? I'm making an equation that ticks off each part of the major pillars of gut health, right? Then lifestyle foundation, right? Plus sleep good, see friends, and for me, building something is good for my lifestyle. So building something. Then detox. So plus detoxing, which would involve binders, which, if you don't know what binders are, these are negatively charged substances that grab onto toxins in the colon, so cleaning the colon, right? Oxy powder, which is like magnesium, but it's oxygen based, it helps clean out the colon, right? If I do all of this, that equals good gut health. Does that make sense? Like, in my head, that's all you need, right? Figure out the main pillars, how to address them, make the equation, and you can't possibly go wrong, right? I'm making something that's like inevitable for you to do well. Now, you might not need some of these equations, right? What I mean by your bottleneck is like you actually might have perfect everything apart from the mental and emotional stuff. So you might need to focus on all of this. And maybe there's part of the equation right? And this is like a, I don't know how to explain this, but I guess you need each one of these equations, like each one of these bits to help the pillars, right? And if you avoid one of them and it's actually your bottleneck is the main thing that's resisting you, then you're going to have a blockage and you're going to have bad gut health. So if I can just do all the good things, does that make sense? Like, this is how my brain works, like in terms of like, what's the equation of high probability of IBS relief? This is my equation. If I do this, I will have good gut health and IBS relief. And that is what I do, right? There isn't a lot more to it than that. I can go into each one of these a lot in more detail. And if you are wondering, like, how do I find the thing that I need to work on? First of all, you could just do the good things. Like, you could just do, like, you might not need to know if you want to work on your gut bacteria, but you could just take fermented food and spore based probiotics. Now, the gut bacteria goes a little bit deeper because there are three types of dysbiosis. Now, if you are new to this kind of concept, go watch my latest video. I have a whole video on gut bacteria and overgrowths as well, which this equation might not work for. But and and this is very broad. It goes a little bit deeper than this, and there are a little bit more you have to follow. But I'm just trying to make it really simple for you guys. If you make an equation for yourself, like I do, and this would work for most people, which covers the main pillars that cause gut health issues, then you're going to be in a pretty good position, right? I'm just trying to systemize it. I'm just trying to make an equation out of it, and you're going to be in a pretty good system. If you guys need any help with this, by the way, or you feel like you're very overwhelmed, then feel free to go to the top link in my description, which will send you to a little page. You can learn a little bit more about me, any testimonials where people have helped before, and you can actually book a free discovery call. So if you want any potential help in the future, then we can see where you're at, and potentially I could coach you through this and give you guys some advice. But on a very macro basic level, this is it. Obviously, it goes deeper into terms of specifics, how do I actually implement this, when, how, what, and you might not even know what some of this stuff is. But that's essentially on a macro level what it is, what I do, um, just to try and systemize it. And this is essentially what I've done. Of course, like, for example, I've done more for the gut lining than just colostrum. I've done more than just this is what I'm trying to get across. But like, this is foundationally what you've got to do. And this is like a recipe for like inevitable gut health. Like, you can't fail with this. If you had a test for like biology and you had like 10 core topics you had to learn for your tests, then if you just do all 4 or all 10 topics, if you know all 10 topics, it's inevitable that you'll pass the test, right? You'll pass the test. It's inevitable. So if you just do these core pillars of gut health, it's inevitable that you'll pass the test. You'll be good. Please let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, by the way. But apart from that, that's pretty much it. Obviously, I can go a whole lot deeper with like bloating and all these different aspects and gut bacteria and stuff. If you want to learn about it, let me know specifically what you want to learn. I know someone said gastritis, so I'm going to go over that in a bit more detail. But that's kind of it, guys. That's kind of all I do, and it works. So but you can see I'm checking off this equation checks off each major pillar, and it goes a little bit deeper than this. It can be specific for each person. Now, it can really depend on what you have. I mean, if you have like H. pylori, for example, like, do you realistically need to be avoiding social media? Probably not. You probably need antimicrobials, and you probably need to heal the gut lining, and you probably need to rebuild your microbiome. That's going to be the most important, and that's going to be the bottleneck for you. But if you just don't do all of it anyway, then you have no bottleneck. Then you're bringing everything up. Does that make sense? Anyway, guys, hope that makes sense. If you guys have any questions about this, just let me know. I know it's a little bit confusing at start, but go watch the other videos if you want to learn more about it. Instagram's in the bio if you want to DM me as well. If you want help, you know where the link is. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.